Hi, vibrations, sweet babies. I'm here to pull some cards for you. I'm feeling this really Aries energy, like through and through. And it's Aries season as I pull these cards for you, but these readings are timeless, so whenever it finds you, I believe in the divine timing of these things. Hummingbird might be significant. This might be, a symbol of like constant motion and a lot of go, go, go energy. That is definitely part of Aries as well. I might do an Aries meditation. I don't know. We'll see how this reading goes. I feel like I've got like beef to get into before I can do any kind of meditation for y'all. Honestly, because that's just like how I'm feeling. It feels like this really powerful, very much like Kitty got claws type energy. Now, that's like no pun intended. My cat, like my family's cat, freaked out, got really scared and upset, and really showed its claws and, injured my mom, unfortunately. But she's doing okay, and, they made amends, but I think it's wanting to come through for a reason, because I feel like and I'm just going to start shuffling while we talk about this feeling of like, it's sometimes, necessary for people to understand, how you can be powerful, can take up for yourself, can protect yourself. And, it's unfortunate when sometimes our more intimate connections involve this sort of energy, but that isn't to say that, I know this is like an interesting reference, but like that isn't to say that it's like supposed to be a done deal, or you can only act that way towards people that, you have issues with. I threw in some laundry friends, so you might be hearing that in the back. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and close that so it doesn't disturb us too much. Okay, that should be better. Doors closing, doors slamming might be significant. 12:12 is significant. I'm seeing it blinking on a wrong clock, which is hilarious. I feel like that's just a thing that happens. I just often see like angel numbers on clocks that are not set at the correct time. Elephant in the room might also be significant. So I just want to no portals, no like specific transits. I just want to feel into the energy for this collective, because it feels like I don't even know what I'm walking into with this reading, and that might be the tea. Woo! And it all comes spilling out. It all comes pouring out. Before I even flip these cards over, I feel like 333 just showed up for us, walking into something and you have no idea what you're in for. Like, you couldn't guess it, you couldn't predict it if you tried. Now, this could be like a good or a bad thing. Friends, I'm going to take a sip of my protein shake, and if you have a water or something yummy alongside you, take a sip. I quit drinking soda. I did have one on Easter. But I quit drinking soda because of some health decisions I decided to make. That might also be significant. You might be taking your health and your physicality a little bit more significant. Or it might be time to. But yeah, there's this feeling of like, you don't really know what you're walking into. This could be in, of course, that very like obvious anxious feeling of like, how do I prepare for something? Like, how do I even prepare for this if I don't know what I'm walking into? 444 has also been showing up a lot for me, collective. And I mean a lot, like 44, like everywhere. 555 as well, 2757. Now these are some of like similar numbers that I think have just been like part of our like coding, if you will, for like this moment of our lives. Like 57 and 27 been showing up a lot, and I really enjoy the beautiful meanings behind those numbers. Some other ones that I saw were 49, 49, and 89. Okay, so we have some new numbers that showed up for us. But yeah, those ones have really been sticking with us, and that can't leave me with anything besides this feeling of expect miracles in your relationships, okay? Expect really beautiful blessings and like out of this world type blessings. In specifically with your relationships, or it could be a particular relationship is really going to offer you blessings and what feels like a miracle. This person or these people, it really speaks to like a specific person, but like these people, because I am picking up on a strong community energy, are here to evolve you spiritually on your path in some way and in some form. Now, because I'm feeling this and seeing this 57 everywhere, it leads me to believe that this is somebody who's going to positively bring these blessings. It's not going to be one of those like very karmic, like had to learn a lesson, had to experience like negative things to get the blessing. This wow, right here as I'm looking at the cards, community. 37. So, okay, I'm just going to lay them all out because they all poured out at the same time, which I think is also significant. Like, whatever you're moving towards, I feel like it's going to be like very Aries energy, like quick, fast, in a hurry, like kind of all at once. And yeah, I don't know. I can't shake the overwhelm that wants to creep in with that, right? Because at the same time as like receiving, like being in receiving mode or having a lot of things take place or things are just lining up or whatever it is, something is happening more rapidly in your life. And I think that that's like really significant, right? Like if you're manifesting right now, you're probably really rapidly manifesting. So focus. Make sure you're taking time to focus. Focus in your energy. Focus on yourself. Focus on what's important. That's like really at the forefront of all of this. But more specifically, like be sure that when you're locked in, like locked and loaded, it's like really narrowed in. You want to be really narrowed in and locked in right now. But you also don't want to be like pigeonhole laser focused truthfully on just like the wrong things. I'm gonna pull some more cards about that. Okay. This feels like very much around the heart space and the sacral space. Focusing your energy on too much of maybe one or the other, or like you're not focusing on these things enough in your life. I think we'll figure that out as we keep reading. But like, it feels ooey gooey. Like that. Bees might be significant. Queen bee might be significant. Oh yes, definitely queen bee. Butterflies might be significant to you. Oops. Okay. So I feel like by you opening your heart and by you really coming from a more loving, intimate place, and really, I'm gonna be honest with you, the cards say to focus on that. Like focus on how you're loving, focus on how you're opening your heart. Focus on what you want to grow and take shape in your like intimate life. Focus on where you're giving intimacy and who you're giving intimacy to. And this could mean various forms of intimacy. You know, this could be just there's a lot of forms. But I'm being guided to say more so like focus on if you are thinking about children or you have children, focus on what kind of love you want to have around them at the current present. And when I say in the current present, like if you're thinking about kids, like now's the time to be thinking like, is there a love around my life that would like embrace my child if I were to have a child? You know, just thinking about how much love you are able to give in order to be really showing up for your child in the right way. That's very interesting, and maybe like something very deep to think about. You know, you might want to marinate with that one. But really, there's just, this idea of intimacy and connection and loving deeper, and just even in general, like how you want things to take shape and come to life in your intimate connections, in your personal like ooey gooey heart space, you know what I mean, with your cherished one, your loved one. And by doing this, there's a lot of community that will open up, and it's very interesting. Like I can see how this is going to take shape in my own life, and I'm hoping it's resonating with you. There's this need to understand that you're going to get more than just, without sounding greedy or anything, right? But like you are going to get more love than just the love of like one person that you're giving your all to, giving your like most ooey gooey heart space to, and like opening up and softening. And I could see how this is necessary for this collective because I see y'all as very powerful people. And I think you see yourself as a very powerful person. And understanding that like that might be the energy that you're used to showing up in. Like right at the start of this, it was like very like like Aries, like yes, like fire, like passion, we're doing it, we're manifesting, right? But then there's like this other side to that whole way of being that we're not really tapping into and seeing as a gift in the current present. Like we can be very powerful, but we also can like know how to show up soft and it's it's funny to me because like sometimes these symbols like remind me of like the media that I'm watching or taking in like in my relaxation time, and just like seeing how like there's similar symbols that show up, and I trust in that. I think there's like things that I'm drawn to at certain points in my life, like I'm interested in and wanting to see for entertainment because it speaks to something that I resonate with in myself, in my story, right? So like there's this idea of like personal power, crown energy. And, I think, there's this really beautiful gift of knowing when you're in your power and knowing how to be in your power. But then there's also this recognition that sometimes, like, the most powerful thing you can do is just, like, let go of the desire to, like, have other people see your crown. Like, you don't need other people to understand that that crown is on your head and in order to feel powerful. And I don't know how else to explain it. It's like, let me pull. Yeah, there's a lot to do with intimacy, sexuality, and I feel like, yeah, it's like very important to find harmony with how it feels to be in your power, without trying to, like, rule. I don't know, okay, how do I want to explain this? Like, let me just really connect to what the divine is looking to share with this, right? Because I feel like at the center of it all, it's like, I'm hearing, like, think of the community that you can grow together. You might have had to do a lot of things on your own. And it's time for you to let go of cycles that are keeping you from having, like, a true new beginning. And I know that sometimes it's like, I don't want to have a million new beginnings, but, like, every day is a new beginning. Life is constantly filled with opportunities to just begin again, to start something over. And for me, what I'm really feeling compelled to is to start over, like, the way that you love. How do you love people? How are you intimate with people? How do you commit to people? Reconnecting with your sexuality and understanding, like, maybe if you could go back in time and change some things, what would you want to feel? How would you want to experience that and express that? This feels like a beautiful opportunity to do, like, some real healing about all of that and really let go of some cycles that are playing out in the current present. These cycles are keeping you from opening your heart space and therefore kind of keeping you from the kind of community that your soul and your heart and even your peace of mind have always been wanting and needing, quite frankly. And it's like this infinity loop of, like, infinite potential that shows up. Ooh. That's really showing up here. But what's interesting is it's got the male and female, or, like, Venus and, what is that? Mars? I want to say it's Mars, but I don't know if that's actually accurate. I forget the symbols, y'all. Whatever that little symbol is, that's supposed to represent, like, masculinity. And they're, like, intertwined as this infinity loop. And something here is telling me, like, you are meant to go on that journey, like, with another person. The person that feels like your counterpart, depending on how you identify, it really doesn't matter. Like, your counterpart will have that perfect balance and that perfect, like, mirror to what you're experiencing. And, like, that's part of it. That's part of opening up your heart. That's part of the intimacy and, deep connection that your soul wants. That's it. Being able to go on that journey, to experience that, to figure that out is very significant with another person. You might have taken a lot of, like, pride, and maybe it made you feel powerful to know how much you've done and accomplished on your own. but still there's like this cycle to break around that. And how deeply are you able to open up your heart? How deeply are you able to connect? Notice what that hindrance is, because there's a cycle here breaking that might have to do with an air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. Yeah, just like give more love wherever you can, and like start small. Start small. Like start with your pet. Like literally just show up with that, same kind of like affection and care that you want to start embodying in your everyday life with probably all types of people. But if you're really struggling to like get out of your protected heart space ways, it's very nerve-wracking sometimes to open up to that with other people if we experience like interpersonal trauma of any kind. So with pets, they're a little bit more predictable. Yeah, your heart is just like so cautious. And I feel like sometimes maybe we have this, I'm going to include myself in all this because I don't want you to feel like I'm judging you. I can learn so much from like just what the cards say every time I pull them. So, maybe we have this tendency of just like constantly wanting to find out information, find out like more, because we're looking for almost a validation or a reason to like keep ourselves closed off. Like, see, there it is. I told you. Now I have a reason to keep myself closed off and cautious. But all we're really doing in that experience is keeping ourselves closed off instead of experiencing more instances of connection and love and intimacy than we would have. I'm listening right now. Because I thought I heard a car coming up the driveway. But I don't think so. Yeah, maybe that's your cue to like pause and listen. Just pause and just listen. Sometimes I have trouble with that, if you couldn't guess, as I sit here and ramble with my cards. I definitely have to work on my listening. And it's something that I am doing, actually, just very happenstance with something that I started doing for myself. It kind of put me in this position to just really be listening. You might also find yourself like in this kind of you're like in a very student mind right now. Like you might have somebody that is a good mentor, a good teacher, a good just like person you can learn from. I don't feel like this has to do with like you being in school or like in any classes, but just somebody really teaching you a lot of things. It might be about like, honestly, it could be a whole bunch of things. I'm not really sure what it's going to be about. Okay, so yeah, you definitely have a lot of like divine protection around you. You're very much protected and probably connected. I see that you definitely have some beautiful beings watching over you. Okay, a couple cards jumped once again. Hi, I just got nice and close to the microphone. So interested about this. Yeah, so as I'm pulling these cards, and talking about like your, I would say like angels, ancestors, and guides watching over you. There's something to just be very cautious about. Someone who might be too full of themselves, somebody who can't look in the mirror or is like a little bit like overly pleased with how they look in the mirror, or yeah, just like, I don't want to say narcissistic because that's such like a BuzzFeed word and it's kind of, the meaning's been diluted, but you know what I'm talking about. Like some very like cocky, like rooster might be significant. And things around date night. Interesting. Sometimes people try to wine and dine. That might be like a love bomby type thing. Or you just might be having a conversation over dinner that's like, I don't even know if it's dinner. You could just be having a conversation. You're sitting at a table over food, and there's just some like something between the conversation might be illuminating. I'm just gonna leave it at that, okay? And I do see down here like, seems like there is some kind of conversation that might be challenging, and we'll get into that in just a second, okay? So really and truly, what you know would make you feel the most empowered and yet feel like safe and soft to open up and feel like you can actually build community, etc., is to have like some real stability. And I think that's really showing up right now, is like stability within your heart space and stability within your relationship. So maybe like that feeling that I was sensing before of like, what am I getting myself into, or like what am I about to walk into, just might have to do with like something within your relationship. And you know that like there's like this element of commitment involved in the mix, perhaps. Or you at the very least know that something is getting serious, like there is some serious stuff going on, and you kind of just, you're craving this stability, and you're craving like this, I don't want like any more surprises, like I don't want to be like blindsided, I just want to feel stable and in that way feel safe enough to like open up my heart and to feel like something is growing and to feel like there's a really intimate connection happening. This is like very much like heart space stuff that I was not prepared to like, exactly, I was not prepared to like walk into it. This might be involving a Cancer or Scorpio, Pisces, the water signs. And it sometimes feels like you're on a journey. Let me get a little bit more. But this, okay. Let me get a little bit more. You are on a manifesting journey at the current present. What you want deep in your heart and your soul, like that stability to just, really focus on opening up your heart, to be like surrounded by community, to feel like you're letting go of cycle, you're in your personal power, you really redefined what love means to you, like all of those things. Maybe you are trying to manifest commitment. That is manifesting. I just want to let you know. It is manifesting. Every time you pray, every time you do your gratitude practices or your manifestation rituals, like whatever you're doing, it is manifesting. But it's coming from like a really purposeful, soul-led, heart-led space. That's what's manifesting. Anything else that's showing up in your life is really kind of just weird experiences. Why do I keep feeling like I hear a car coming up the driveway? Which is, maybe that is something that somebody needs to be thinking about. I don't know. Or it might be significant at some point. I don't know. Yeah, I have this. You're you're on a journey of trusting your intuition, trusting yourself, trusting your energy, trusting in your prayers, trusting in that really pure, beautiful part of yourself that just wants to fully and totally open up the heart space, have more love all around. What is not feeling like that is starting to really like present itself and show itself in your journey. And you're seeing where things make you feel like you're in a maze or it's confused and it's like a labyrinth might be significant. This might be showing up by feeling like somebody's using you, or like just this energy of things being very money focused, or how somebody is moving. Like that's what I mean. Like, it's just this, like, the way that people move in their relationships. Like, how are people moving? Like, that is something that you're paying attention to. Like, what are the motives, you know? And you're in this experience where people might have their eye on you, or people might be doing their research on you. And honestly, my friend, you might be sensing into that energy and might be feeling what that's about. Trust your intuition. Red flags that you ignore will come back to bite you later. You know, people might even be talking about you or saying things about you. And again, you have this really deep personal power where you're like able to like really be with yourself and understand, you know, I'm feeling like a lot of identity and ego stuff, and not egotistical, but like the I that knows itself. That work is beautiful work to do, and to be able to continue to be in this journey of understanding yourself more, understanding your energy, understanding, you know, how to trust yourself, and by trusting yourself, putting yourself in situations where you're able to open up and feel soft and feel that community energy. You know what it feels like. You've known it before. You can feel it again. I'm giving you homework. Take time to figure out what that is. Sit, reflect, journal. Mirrors are very significant because I'm hearing a lot like reflect and like, you know, I don't know. Mirrors might be significant. But anyway, take some time to sit, reflect, and journal, or at least just like, I don't know, build a Pinterest board or a vision board or whatever of like moment, like if you have photos of it, even better, moments where you felt that really deep, loving, community space where you were like able to fully open up, fully be yourself, fully feel accepted, and really drop into what that felt like and recognize all the places where you don't feel that, okay? And understand like what happened from that moment to now. What's changed? You know, what is now keeping you from having that? And if it's not a community moment, maybe it's both. Like, figure out like that loving moment, like a time when you and your partner were like really like ooey gooey, juicy, loving deliciousness, you know, and like you want to manifest even more of that. Like, yes, go for it. Or maybe it's like, if you're not in a relationship, it's the idea of what that's supposed to feel like, or at least like moments and memories in your life when you've experienced like pieces of that and pieces of that love, and how you want that to show up and manifest in your life, okay? Because it does not feel good to feel like people are not seeing you, they're just watching you. You know the difference. You know the difference there, and you feel the difference. You feel it in your energy. And you feel it in your heart space because immediately there's this caution around you. There's this like cautious energy, this feeling like you need to overwork yourself to feel, you know, when you're overworking in order to feel good. No, let me rephrase this. When you have to overwork yourself in order to try to feel safe to open up, chances are it's just not safe to open up, because your body, unless you're dealing with some real stuff here, like which some of us might be, like going back, breaking cycles, really understanding like what intimacy is supposed to mean for them, like there could be a lot to unpack there, right? So like for some of us, we might have to figure out why we are so quick to have that guard up and why we're so quick to be cautious about how we show up with love and with care and with tenderness. My friends. Okay, friends, like this is really it, because as I was approaching these cards here, I just saw 555 for you, friends. Yeah, something needs to change around this, because as I was approaching this whole idea of like, what is making you so cautious? What is making, not you, but even myself, like, what is making us so cautious around our hearts? And my body was like, nope, let's go do something else. Like I immediately got up and I had some of my shake. Like I got myself a little, you know, I went all over, did what I had to do, and I feel a little bit more grounded now. So like, and I think that's like maybe this fight or flight reflex that we know as a collective. Like there's this something that I would say it's like avoidancy, like we're trying to avoid, but I think more than anything, it's like this deep feeling of like, when we talk about the idea of opening up and safety and community and love and receiving love, that you're preparing for, you're running away. You are leaving. You want to get up and leave the situation. I'm sorry if this is difficult to hear, but you know, these are things that I need to hear for myself. Like, I'm really on here just like confessing, y'all. Like, this is my confession, you know, like for real. But you know what's hilarious is the card confession is literally right here. But anyway, like I said, we'll get to that. We're almost done. 37 on the timestamp, friends. Interesting. The way that we're harmonizing with other, if I'm gonna keep it a buck, right here, right now, we're a little disharmonious with the world around us. And this is a heart space, a sacral space issue, because these things need to be healed and need to be worked through. Sexuality, identity, you know, who you know yourself to be might be shifting and changing as you're breaking some cycles around opening up your heart, true intimacy, true deep connection, and how to do that, you know, how to be on that journey with a mirror, with a partner, with somebody who really can go through that journey with you. 27, again, like I said, that's exactly it. Ooh, I'm feeling it, friends. Yes, and when we understand that this deep truth is that, like, by truly loving any person, we get to open up to their huge world of their people and the people that love them and the people that they care about. And right now, however we're moving or however we're guarding ourselves, we're not only keeping ourselves from like one true connection. It feels like we're losing the ability to connect even deeper to what that means and what comes with that, and how beautiful that is, and allowing that safety and softness into your life, you know, with a person that we're committed to, or trying to manifest that sort of commitment in, or whatever it is also impacting, like, you know, how you're showing up in your community. And there's this like impulsivity to like just leave, to just remove yourself from the situation. But it's more than that. It's like this deep feeling, right? A fear almost that's like not even in our conscious awareness. It's more like in our epigenetics, like our ancestral lineage type stuff, you know what I mean? That we might be preparing for exilation. You know, we might be preparing to just be cast out or exiled. So before that happens, you just leave. Doesn't that just make it easier? Isn't that just less painful? That might be something that we've taught ourselves for a very long time. Or maybe it was taught to us, or like I said, it could be something that you can look back in the cycles of your lineage, your family tree, and see, you know, how that showed up. Interesting, yeah. And it might have to do with someone else. Duh. Like, it's not usually the thing in front of us that's causing us to be so triggered or so closed off or so guarded or so activated or whatever you want to call it, right? 111, take action on this, okay? It's usually something else. And then something else that happened that was similar to that. And then something else that happened that's similar to that. And then it's a compilation of all of those experiences that felt similar to one another. And now we've created this like oversensitive alarm system in our being that lets us know, oh, this is similar to that. So close down, close off, don't get hurt. Okay? And sometimes you overwork yourself to do that. Or sometimes you're trying to overwork yourself to break free from that. And honestly, it might feel exhausting. But I want you to remember that we are expecting miracles around this, right? Tell the universe, tell the divine, tell source, tell God exactly what you want to hear, or not to hear, to have. What exactly you want to have. Okay, and remember that things are really going to start manifesting 222 in your life very quickly, okay? Have patience though, right? Because the kind of abundance that you want to have might, and I'm feeling like very fruitful, something to do with having like an abundant fridge, something to do with I feel like rainbows are significant. The letter K, C, R, E, V, or B might be significant. But yeah, I feel like something to do with like a conversation might be significant, and it might create a challenge, and it might be a good challenge that makes you want to work on yourself or do some inner healing, which it kind of seems like you're being asked to do at the current present anyway. Maybe it has to do with all of this, and you just get to kill two birds with one stone, right? But you know what's interesting is when it comes to this challenges card, it's got a little person pushing up a giant rock, you know, and I immediately think of, you know, what is it? Who is that guy? You know what I'm talking about. That guy with the rock and the hill. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that probably sounds so crazy. I'll try to figure out it's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember. I'll try to remember and put it in the description where I put all the other symbols and all that groovy stuff that we talked about in the reading, so you can just go ahead and get even more confirmation that you're hearing these things in the right time and for the right reasons. So this card though, I never realized that there's like another little leg, which indicates that somebody's helping him. Somebody is helping him push that rock, and I love that. Because at the end of the day, sometimes we're so used to being guarded and closed off and painting a story or having this like perspective of like we're on our own. We have to like we have to keep ourselves closed off. We have to, you know, just, I don't know why, like playing your cards close to your chest, like that type of thing is very much just the way that we're looking at it. But the full picture, if we looked at it with like our higher selves point of view, we probably see that we have quite a bit of love around us. Somebody maybe in particular is really giving you like a lot of love, and are you seeing it? Because at the end of the day, like, we get to decide how much abundance we see in our lives. And I don't mean manifest and call in. Yeah, we can do all that stuff too if we please, but we can also decide to see it just right now in our very like experience wherever we're sitting all around you. Look for it, find it, and now you have more abundance than you did 3 seconds ago. Okay, so remember, like, what is this immediate reaction to close off, to be guarded? Like, what is that brought by? Like I said, it could be cycles, it could be ancestral patterns, it could be this feeling of being exiled, or feeling like somebody's trying to sabotage how close you can really be to somebody, or trying to get in the way of community, or yeah, just this feeling of like there's always somebody messing with you in some way or some form. That might be part of it. I don't know, friends. You tell me. But again, we get to choose how much abundance, and I'm feeling like this is more so like abundance of love, abundance in your heart space, abundance of like safety, abundance of stability, right? Abundance of commitment. We get to decide how much we really allow ourselves to see on a day-to-day basis. We might be dealing with some really like shitty situations, and maybe personal relationships might have always been a challenge for you, but you can still choose to see how much you already have in your life. And again, the first card we talked about was focus. Focus on that. Focus on that, right? Like, focus on that, even if it's coming from like one teeny tiny thing, or maybe it's your pet, right? We talked about like just focusing on how to even start with opening up your heart space from like a really safe, love, caring, tenderness, you know. Focus, just really focus in on that, and like do it to the best of your abilities. And yeah, really work on those cycles, friends. Really work on whatever your brain is going towards that's like keeping you from having that, because you really need to allow the right kind of healthy love in your life, right? Yeah, and I think it's okay to be hopeful around this. Like I said in the beginning, you know, you are definitely not doing this alone. There is somebody helping you. Like in this challenges card, I can't get over it. Like there's a little person back there helping. The whole time we're thinking it's this, well, I'm thinking it's this one guy pushing a giant rock up a hill, and lo and behold, there's somebody there. And you can make that decision to work on that with them. You can make that decision to ask for help, to, you know, put yourself in communities like we talked about, that homework exercise that I really hope you do, of noticing what experiences made you feel that safety to open up, to feel accepted, that you're not being cast out, you're not being exiled, you're always going to be loved and welcomed. And really sink into that feeling. And be hopeful that you'll experience it again. Okay, there might be a conversation that's very illuminating for you on what some of these things mean, or how they're going to show up in your life. You might go on a date that really makes a lot of things clear for you, gives you clarity, or just really shows to you it's just going to be illuminating. That's all I can keep thinking, is like, you're going to have a conversation. It might be a conversation with a couple of people. It could be a conversation that you have over like a dinner table, something along those lines. You know, be present. Be present with those people. Like, you're listening for a sign every single time, because God works through people, right? The divine source energy, right? It's through all people. So like, what if we gave that amount of presence to every conversation that we had anyway? Like, you're about to get a beautiful message from that person because you are. All right, my friends. I am so glad that I was able to sit and do this reading with you. I'm sending you lots of loving, and I will talk to you soon.